celebrating 20 years of possibility.
I'm Donde Plowman, and I believe that anything is possible.
Welcome to Anything is Possible. My name is Haller in Hilton Hill. These are great stories about great people whose lives prove that anything is possible. And I have been waiting for this interview right here. I claimed you as my play cousin, my play sister, because we have one big thing in common. We are both preachers' kids.
Yep.
Welcome to therapy.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Dr. Donde Plowman, thank you for being here. Chancellor of the University of Tennessee. Where does Act One of your life begin?
Honestly, Act One is the fact that my dad was a Methodist minister. And yes, I am a PK, so we have our issues, we know what those are. But we moved every 4 years.
Wow.
And the more I've thought about that over the course of my life, we hated it as kids.
Yeah.
My brother and my sister and I would sulk every time we had to move and probably make my dad's life miserable. But I do think that was the beginning of laying the seeds for resilience to some degree. And every time we moved, it didn't take that long, where we found friends and meaning and life was good again.
What kind of man was he?
My dad was someone who spoke truth to power, I think, really well. And I say that because when you're a minister, it's not just getting up on Sunday morning giving sermons.
Right.
People used to ask my dad, so what else do you do all week? It used to make him mad. But you're leading a community, and there's always conflict. And I just can think back and remember that it bothered him when conflict happened, but he was really good at getting people to the table and trying to figure it out and just kind of be honest about what's going on. And so the more I've been in leadership roles, I thought back about that aspect of my dad. He wasn't afraid to say the truth, but he always said it in a very respectful way, in a way towards let's build something better out of this. And that's helped me, I think, a lot.
What about mom?
My mom was one of those. She was the social engineer behind my dad. So she was outgoing. She had friends over. She was the caregiver. She was the social engineer in our family. Everything went through her. But she was also one who she always told us, anything you want to do, you can do. So a lot of my mother's friends told me later in life, she's the one who always had big goals. And she helped us with that, I think, my sister, my brother, and I. So you want to do that? My sister graduates college. You want to move to New York and work on Wall Street? You were a little girl from Oklahoma, but I'll help you do it. That kind of thing. So.
What kind of girl were you?
I was, I think, shy when I was growing up. People hear that and laugh about that now, but it's kind of true. I was firstborn, so I kind of wanted to please. And I had a great childhood. I had lots of friends. I went to college, was sort of shocked by leaving small town Oklahoma, going to school with I didn't know it would be lots of rich kids. I thought I was going to a Methodist college, SMU. It was Methodist, but barely. A lot of kids who had a lot of money, a lot of partying, but also I got a great education. So it was just another adjustment.
What'd you study? What was your interest or passion?
Technically, I studied English. I was an English major, history minor. But what I really studied was, I got all involved in student organizations, student life, student government. I was an RA in the dorms. So you look back, it was all these little opportunities for leadership. And that's the part where all my passion was. And I tell kids that all the time, and parents. Coming to college is partly about what you're majoring in, but it's about so much more than that.
Why do you think that was you tracked toward leadership?
You know, I have no idea.
Because if you're shy.
Well, I'm shy on the surface, but then I was. But as soon as I got comfortable with people, I would end up sort of leading the pack along, I guess. So I don't know. I just loved that part of college and kind of wanting to make a difference and things I thought were really important we worked hard at, new bylaws for the faculty senate, just stuff like that, or the student senate. I look back on it and think, I don't know what we were doing, but it meant a lot at the time.
I'm a nerd.
You are?
Yeah.
You don't seem like a nerd.
Yeah, well, camo, right?
Yeah.
And I was a very shy child as well, but I was curious.
Yeah.
Right? I was really curious. You seem like the curious type, like you're very interested in learning and growth.
Well, I think that's very definitely true. When I went to high school, I played music. I was a piano player.
Really?
So, and I was pretty darn good. I mean, I was nerdy in that respect.
Right.
I gave a recital in the 9th grade all by myself. I memorized all the pieces and it lasted 45 minutes.
Wow.
I can't even imagine doing that now. So there was a part of me that was interested in expressing that side of myself, but I also didn't have any other friends who were doing that. And so the social life was important to me also.
Right. So you finished college, and then what?
Then I went to graduate. So I got married right after college, went to graduate school, wanted to become a dean of students because I'd gotten all into student life. Got a graduate degree in higher education, a master's degree, started doing that work. And then along the way, I was very influenced by my experience at the University of Texas, where I was working as an academic advisor. I took an MBA course in organizational behavior, human development, and that just set me on fire. And eventually I applied for a PhD in that subject. So I got a doctorate in management and realized this is what I want to do. I don't want to be a dean of students. I want to teach, do research, become a faculty member. And so that's when I really got set on my path. And I did that for a long time.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
I remember sitting at the kitchen table with my dad, kind of pounding my hand on the table saying, tell me I will see Chris again. Tell me that, Dad.
Get involved in student life. Oh, this is cool. You're Chancellor. Life doesn't kind of work that way, though.
No, it doesn't. I would say every step along the way, I've often said this, I kind of took the back door. I applied to a PhD program at UCLA. I was working there in student life. I kind of skipped that part. And they didn't accept me. I couldn't believe it. And I remember going to see the dean and saying, embarrassed, I look back embarrassed, I met your minimum standards. Just think about that. I met your minimum standards.
Right.
So what? Well, the dean said, I don't know why this group didn't want you, but we'll take you over in marketing. I teach marketing. Would you be interested in that? I said, sure. And I started down that path. So it's almost like at every venture, it wasn't the way I think other people's lives go, like here's the silver platter. I kind of made my way. I then actually got my PhD at the University of Texas. I raised a family there while I did it, unconventional way to do that. Had 2 children while I was in graduate school. Then I got out of that program, lived in Austin and commuted to San Antonio for 19 years.
Good gracious.
Yeah, so that's not the way you typically do an academic career, but I was trying to make everything work. I had children, they loved Austin. My husband at the time was a lawyer there. I drove back and forth for 19 years so that we could all kind of do what we wanted to do.
Where'd you get the energy?
I don't know.
What sustains you? Because
something
you have almost this kinetic energy.
I learned a few years back that my energy is actually a really valuable resource. I think everyone has it. But I remember people when I first became dean, they said, wow, I just love your energy. And I kept thinking, I don't really know what they're talking about because I'm just being me.
Right.
And then I started reflecting on it, thinking about it. And I do think that that's the one resource I'm in complete control of, is my energy. Everything else I have to bargain for, negotiate for, ask for, get, but my energy is mine. So I can choose to bring it or not. And when I bring it, it gives me more energy.
Every person I've interviewed, and I've done a lot of interviews, every person that I've seen and talked to that is a representative of the Possibility Brigade, They are that because they had to believe when things were darkest.
Right, right.
I haven't met a person yet
No.
that really has achieved anything that didn't have to go through something.
I agree with you, nor have I.
So when we were preparing to come out here, I said, I always love to hear about turning points, mountains climbed, things that people have made it through. And you said, and I quote, I got a big one.
Yeah.
If you want to go there.
Yeah, I'll go there.
And I'm like, I want to go there because I want to learn.
My life is marked by before August 20th, 2003 and after. August 20th, 2003, my oldest son, beautiful, popular, outgoing, student at Trinity University, baseball player, was killed in a car accident. His dad was driving the car. His dad walked away from the scene unhurt, and Chris was killed instantly. And up to that point in my life, honestly, I tell people, I've never even known anyone who died except my grandparents. That's the natural order of things. It's not natural for a parent to have to bury a child. And my life, while I had other hurdles, a divorce, jobs that weren't exactly perfect, nothing compared to that, nothing. And so it's like before and after. And I've immediately focused on my younger children, like just trying to take care of them. And I remember my minister saying, that's what's going to get you through this, is helping them. And I was determined that wasn't going to kill me also. And so I worked really hard at trying to figure out how we will get to the other side of this. So,
where were you when you got the news?
I was in bed asleep and I got a phone call. And it was 10:48 at night. Chris, my eldest son, and his dad had driven to Houston to see the Cubs play baseball. My kids and our family had followed the Cubs everywhere. We'd gone to spring practice, Chicago, everywhere. So it was not unusual for them to go over there. And Kurt called me at 10:48 and said, there's been an accident. Chris is dead. That was the words. He actually said there's been an accident and I, to this day, always have to have someone else remind me the name of that. My brain has never allowed me to say the name of that place, somewhere in Texas. And that was the beginning of the rest of my life. I had to go upstairs, wake up the boys. I made 3 phone calls, my brother, my dad, and my husband, my second husband, my only husband, who was in San Antonio. And after that, within 30 minutes, my house had 100 people in it. And Chris was this just life force. When he walked in a room, everyone was drawn to him. And it was surreal. And as the days unfolded, after the funeral, the story, everyone goes home. There you are. Mm-hmm. I went to back to school night for my other kids. And I just remember hearing all these people. I could hear them talking about their summer vacation. And I just felt this anger, and I just sought every kind of help I could get to try to figure out how we could still have a really meaningful life.
What happens to your relationship with God? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I've talked to many people, and they don't like God a lot. Yeah.
Early on, there's a lot of anger there. I remember sitting at the kitchen table with my dad, kind of pounding my hand on the table saying, tell me I will see Chris again. Tell me that, Dad. And he said, I believe you will. I can't tell you for sure, but I absolutely believe that. I've staked my whole life on that. And that's how I feel about it. I've staked my life on the belief I have that I will see Chris again. And that has, strangely, motivated me and given me strength. So my faith journey took a big turn. I didn't decide to hate God. I hated life. I hated the universe for a while. I hated how unlucky I was and how unlucky Chris was. And that we weren't able to protect him from that. But you have to figure out a way to keep going. And so I draw on that. People ask me all the time, like, what do you think is your greatest accomplishment? You've done this, you've done that. And I think my greatest accomplishment is that I and my family has figured out a way to have a meaningful life where you can be happy and sad at the same moment. You can be joyful, happy, laughing. In your heart there's an ache. It will never go away. We've learned that and we live that. And that's my greatest accomplishment to this point.
You do have that kind of energy. Like, it seems like you have this ability to part the water and stick to what the important thing is, to speak truth to power, to take on challenging and difficult things. Here's a Donde Plowman legend. Some kids were not doing what they were supposed to do on campus, and you show up at the dorm room and go, what the hell is going on? Is this true?
Yeah, well, yes, I did show up. I knocked on the door.
The Chancellor goes to...
Okay, it was early COVID. We were telling students, don't get together in big groups, don't party, because you'll spread COVID all over the community and everything. And so I was with a bunch of landlords and property owners in the fort and the mayor's office and the chief of police. I was looking for partners everywhere. Help me with how we're going to manage this. So I just saw littered beer cans, and I saw the leftovers of a party the night before. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to knock on the door and talk to them about what they're doing. And I said to the chief of police, why don't you come with me? So we knocked. No one ever answered. The urban myth is I was over there busting parties.
Yeah, I heard you kick the door in, like you on the ground.
I know.
Freeze.
I did knock on the door. I raised boys, so I was thinking I'm not scared of this. But that was probably an out of body experience that I did that. But yeah, the urban myth got me a lot more, bona fides than the actual event itself.
I think having a person like you in place that has been through something, that believes in something, and that is headed somewhere makes all the difference in the world. For you, what's the recipe for possibility?
My husband calls me the lemonade girl. And one of my top 5 strengths is positivity. It's just part of who I am. But I think it is really kind of knowing yourself and then leveraging the things you do well. And drawing strength from that. And don't try to cover up for what you're not doing so well, the things you're not good at. So everything's possible. I mean, my faith tells me every day's a new day. Every single day, I can start again. I've grown up believing that. And so every day's a possibility. And I find myself using words like opportunities instead of challenges. It just reframes how you're thinking about things and how people hear the conversation.
Do you feel, you did the same thing I saw Pat Summitt do.
Really?
Pat Summitt was talking to me emotionally. I saw the tears well up, and she had this internal vacuum cleaner. She sucked them back in. I saw her do it. I saw the tears go, and then she said, she pulled them back in. Yeah. Do you feel your son? Do you feel his presence? Is there something still going on? Does he show up in different ways in your life?
In many ways. I've said this to Kevin, his younger brother. We're living out his life. And he had so much energy. And so I feel him all the time. Initially, I was worried to move to Tennessee the first time because I would be leaving Chris and all those friends who walked that journey with me those early years. But I clearly found out, he's with me always. So yeah, I feel him. You learn over the years. Early on, you can't control any of the emotions. You learn how to navigate that. I can trigger it when I want to. If I want to, I go sit down and play a certain hymn on the piano. Some days I just want to go there. But you learn to manage. But I'm also not afraid of the emotion.
That's great.
I mean, I don't ever want to quit hurting, to be honest with you.
That's strong. And you say that because the hurt means you still care.
Yeah, well, somebody said early on, your pain is measured by the amount that you loved. The more you love, the more you're going to feel pain. And so I'm sort of proud of the pain I carry around, I guess you could say, in a way, because I love him deeply. And I will always grieve. But at the same time, I just am able to experience the abundance of life and the gifts. And it sounds trite to say this, but he would want that too. And so it's been 19 and a half years.
What's your go-to hymn?
Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Always, always.
You know what mine is?
What is it?
Great is thy faithfulness.
I love that. I love that one too. There's quite a few I would say, but I pick Amazing Grace. It's always the one.
It's always.
There's another one, Oh God, Our Help in Ages Past.
Oh, yes.
Our Strength for Years to Come.
Yeah.
I love that one too.
Thinking about a concert featuring Donde Plowman at the Steinway, hymns.
That would
we
be
all
fun.
Sing together.
Okay, let's do it.
I love it.
You can sing, I'll play.
Donde Plowman, thank you for being on
Hey,
Everything is
thank you for
Possible.
asking me. I appreciate it.